Hello, and welcome to the Signpost Up Ahead, the Twilight Zone Recap Show, and I am Matt Stokes.
And I am Patrick Perot.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Matt.
Thank you for doing the Signpost Up Ahead, our favorite Twilight Zone Recap podcast, and we're coming up on episode 3, Mr. Denton on Doomsday. And you warned me that this is a bad episode, and I thought, how bad could it be? And I've watched it twice today, and this episode sucks.
Oh, you think so for real?
Oh my God. Then the first time I watched it, I was like, it's fine. I mean, obviously it's not that like, The second time I was like, this fucking sucks. Like,
that's so weird. I had the opposite reaction. The more times I watched it, the more I appreciated it. Like I don't know. I still think it is boring. Like it drags on too long. Like it could have been done in 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops instead of 23.
Well, it's got to be 23. And every Twilight Zone episode, like, what I like about the show is that, like, 10 minutes of every episode is just like an actor going like, oh, no, no. And it's like, it's fine. I love that. I love that there's way less weirdo sci-fi stuff in the show than you think. It's mostly just actors delivering speeches or being in torment by themselves. And that is certainly the case in this episode, but like just basic things like, I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but just showing what this magic elixir has done to him. It's like they forgot to shoot the parts where he's a good shot. So you just have another character being like, gosh darn it, Mr. Denton, that's the best shooting I done seen.
Well, at least, I don't know. The more times I watched it, the more I appreciated the main actor, Dan Duryea, I think is how you say it.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, his Dan Duryea. I was saying Duryea.
Yeah, that's how Wikipedia pronounced it. Duryea. So Duryea, yeah.
I think he's quite good. This guy,
he's been in 64 movies by my count, a lot of Westerns, and he was across from Gary Cooper 3 times.
He was in Winchester 73, and I think that's what I recognize him from, but he's that guy from that era of Hollywood, played in a billion movies, was on a billion TV shows, often in Westerns. But I think the second time I watched it, the thing that improved for me was his performance, and I think he's really good at making a distinction between him being sober and being drunk.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think he plays drunk great, and then when he cleans up, he plays that really, really well. He's definitely the highlight of the episode is his acting, not so much the story or the episode itself, but him. He is the highlight. So yeah, the more times I watched it, the more I appreciated him. And as a story, it's fine. It's not the best. We'll get into this later when we grade the episode, and it did have, at least something supernatural. I think this is the least grounded in reality we've seen. And that's how most Twilight Zone episodes are going to be, the fifth dimension kind of crap, stuff that can't exist here. So at least it did have some supernatural stuff for once, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like it's totally counterbalanced by it being a Western. And maybe I'm sure kids in the 1950s and 60s were excited to see a Western, but I love Western movies, and still, whenever I see a Western, it feels like Hallmark.
Yeah, those are the most popular TV shows on television in the 50s were Westerns.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I don't know how many, like there's a million episodes of Star Trek, the original series, that seem to turn into Westerns. It's just an easy thing to shoot. You got all the props, all the sets are on the back lot. We'll just go use them. That's
specifically what Jeanne Cooper was going for, was a space Western.
But I mean, there are literal Western episodes. They're like, we've stumbled on a Western planet.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense at all. And then the other star, Martin Landau, I recognized him immediately. And I said, hey, that's Martin Landau, but I can't name a single thing he's in. Or I couldn't until 2 hours ago when I looked on his Wikipedia page and it said North by Northwest.
Oh, yeah. North by Northwest the same year. Yeah. I mean, he's the big star from this episode, or the most famous person from this episode. And I don't think I've ever seen him play anything other than a very dignified rich person. Ed Wood, he's so great in Tim Burton's Ed Wood, and he won the Oscar for that role, where he plays a heroin addicted, very sad and old Bela Lugosi. But he's in, Woody Allen's Crimes and Misdemeanors. He's in a billion things. And
yeah, and I couldn't name any of them. I knew he was big. I knew he was really famous. I knew his name when I saw him, but I was like, what the fuck? I can't name a thing he's done.
Like, don't ask me to name a fourth movie. Oh, wait, no, The X-Files Fight the Future. There's a fourth movie for you from Martin Landau.
I do think I remember that. I'm a huge X-Files fan. Maybe after the 200 and something episodes of this, we can do X-Files and that'll take 20 years.
Yeah, I was thinking, should we just pivot to X-Files? I was, I don't know. I've also, I'm not saying we need to pivot to X-Files, but I'd love to do something. Maybe we could do a spinoff. Because I've been really feeling like it's time for X-Files.
Well, the problem is your time. I have time. The problem is you finding time for that. Maybe we could put like just do the best episodes, because there's plenty of duds in the X-Files, like more so than Twilight Zone. There are some fucking duds.
The point is you have to talk about the bad ones too. I saw there's chatter about X-Files being rebooted again, and apparently this time without even Mulder and Scully.
Oh, fuck that.
Which, like, nobody even wanted them coming back when they rebooted it a few years ago. Why would they want?
I disagree. I thought they were really good episodes. There was only like 8 of them or less, maybe, but I thought they were really good.
Well, they just weren't. The ratings weren't there.
I mean, I could watch Mulder and Scully just talk to each other about rice recipes. I don't know if there's rice recipes. Whatever, just for hours. Like they play off each other so fucking well. And yeah, I love the X-Files. Even the duds, at least they're talking to each other. And
hey, Scully, it's a rice recipe. I don't know, Mulder. What about the rice? Do you like the X-Files movie, Fight the Future?
Not really, to be honest. I don't remember it that well, but I don't think I liked either movie because they had 2.
There are 2, but I've seen the first one a million times, but it is like, and I don't even like it that much. It's like it's like this would be a mediocre episode of the show, and they just expanded it to a movie.
I guess that's kind of why. See, for the life of me, don't know how Lone Gunman didn't last more than one season. Because who doesn't love the Lone Gunman when they show up in the X-Files episodes?
America. Yeah, I've never seen the Lone Gunman. I've never watched it, even though I own the DVD set. I feel like the only thing it's known for is it predicted 9/11 or something?
Yeah, or it had some terrorist stuff going on.
Specifically with planes hijacking or the World Trade Center or something?
Planes, I think it was. It was something about planes. I don't think it had to do with the World Trade Center per se. Maybe New York in general. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, I've seen that 100 times. Like, things that predicted 9/11, like the Simpsons magazine.
Yeah. And just Homer going to the World Trade Center. What did he know? So
90% of predicted 9/11 things are real big reaches.
You'll notice we're not talking about Mr. Denton on Doomsday because this isn't that exciting of an episode. But this episode was directed by Allen Reisner, who himself, one of these prolific TV directors, directed a million episodes of Night Gallery, Kung Fu, The Green Hornet, Kojak, etc. It'd be great if you found out, wait a minute, John Huston directed this episode, but no, it's just a guy.
But for the time, people might have thought something like that. Like we said last week, like the people who lived while this aired, knew all these people, and it was probably really exciting for them to see. Because, like, if you watch The Outer Limits, it's sometimes you'll see famous people or people that become famous later, but it's mostly just nobodies, And so it's nice to see real actors and real directors.
There's always at least one actor. You're like, holy shit, it's that guy. So yeah, this episode, I mean, I would describe this episode as like, it's like, there used to be like chain letters that you'd get like, and sometimes emailed to you, and it'd be like stories. It's like, there was a guy and he was a great shot, and then he got an elixir and then it made him shoot well, but made his hand get injured. How about that? And you're like, oh, okay, interesting. And that's like this episode.
Well, the good news is we got some good ones coming up. Like, I like it's a very underrated one. The next one, I think it's heavily inspired by Sunset Boulevard. It's about this old female film star who can't let go of the past.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. That sounds exciting.
And then episode 5 is Walking Distance. That's a classic. It's the guy goes back in time and meets his family, his old, and meets his younger self and stuff.
Yeah.
And episode 8 is like many, many people's favorite episode, Time Enough at Last. So they're coming up.
So we've got some iconic ones coming up.
Yeah, you guys sit through this to get to the good stuff, though.
Yes, you have.
This isn't that bad. It's not that. Like, I started to appreciate it more, and I took notes, and I was paying attention to a lot of shit. So I do have at least some things to say about it.
So this episode opens up in the most TV ass Western town you've ever seen. And then this Mr. Denton, our hero, he stumbles drunkenly out of Walter's saloon as a mysterious stranger looks on. What is going on with this mysterious stranger? We'll find out. And then Martin Landau comes out of the bar and he pours a bottle of liquor on Mr. Denton. He's like, here, sing for me, Denton, sing it. And Mr. Denton sings a silly song in exchange for booze. It is very sad.
It is very sad. And is it liquor, or is he just like so poor he can't get water? Like,
no, it's got to be liquor.
Because he starts pouring it on him to wake him up, and then when he smashes the bottle and throws it on the ground, there's still some in it. Like Denton gets it and chugs it, but he's spilling so much. And you would think if he's that, thirsty for alcohol, he would, be a little more careful with the liquor.
You would think
it was more like somebody in the desert finally getting a canteen of water.
That's just how desperate he is. But
at least, the little things. Okay. So, I mean, it's super little, and we find out these things very fast, but the antagonist, Landau, is wearing dark black. And then our protagonist, I think he's wearing like white clothes now, but they're really, really dirty. So they're gray. And I think that symbolizes that he's like a good guy, but he's got some demons, as we find out. I mean, he's definitely killed a lot of people, including a 16-year-old. So he's wearing gray. And then even when he cleans up, he puts on gray clothes. So I think that shows that he's like in the middle. He's a good guy with demons.
Yes, so complicated is Mr. Denton. Where does he even exist on the moral plane? Now, did this shirt that he wears, this collared shirt, look like he got it from the Gap? It did to me.
I guess it kind of fit with Western. I don't know. I guess it kind of fit with Western.
Well, you could tell it's a Western because he's wearing a hat. I guess that does most of the work.
And the saloon, yeah.
Yeah.
And the barmaid.
And then there's this nice lady, Miss Smith, and I guess she's a prostitute. She's a sex worker. She's dressed like that. They don't.
That's why she's wearing black too, because I thought she's a nice lady, but they're all wearing dark clothes as well. It's because they're whores. Okay, I didn't approve
of that. No.
I thought they were just barmaids. Okay, that makes more sense.
We need a sex working peddler to come into town and give her an elixir to get her to change her ways. And she says to the bartender, like, Charlie, can't you stop this? And he's like, no, ma'am, I can't. And then Martin Landau smashes the bottle on the ground, throws it on the ground, and Denton is like desperately grabbing at it, pouring whatever he can into his mouth. And then Rod Serling's like, this is Mr. Denton. He is living an agonizing slow death, one bottle at a time. I need to figure out a Rod Serling impression. But the camera pans over to the mysterious gentleman, and Rod Serling says, and this is a peddler. And this is the second episode of the show in a row that features a peddler. And this peddler makes a pistol materialize on the ground next to Mr. Denton. And the music is like, ooh, mysterious pistol. What does it mean? Commercial break.
How much do we hate that the mysterious stranger's name is Henry Fate?
It really makes you think, though.
Fate. Like, that's just too much. Like, couldn't his name been like Frederick, Allen, Ted...
Extreme.
Erickson,
Wait a minute. F-A-T-E? Or at least spell it. Give it like the French spelling. Give it F-A-I-T.
Yeah. That would have been actually really good. That would have been much, much better. You're so smart, man. Good.
No, but it was 1959. Everyone was dumb. There was asbestos in the walls, leaded gasoline. They needed it really spelled out for them. So by the end of the episode, like, I think that something's up with that Mr. Fate.
And then the last line of this episode is even, fate can work that way in the Twilight Zone.
Yes, it can. So what happens next?
So he picks up the gun for some reason. I mean, it materializes next to him and he picks it up, and asshole Landau comes out and sees the gun. He says, oh, let's have a shootout then. You got a gun again? I didn't know you could. We're going to have a shootout right now. We're going to draw. And he's like, no, mister, I don't want to. I'll just burn my drink. I don't want no trouble. Tell him, miss. And then he's just holding it like real limp. And then it goes off and shoots Landau in the hand, or shoots the gun out of his hand. One of the two. Yeah,
shoots the gun out of his hand.
And then he's like, oh shit. And everybody treats him like a fucking hero. Like he's a war hero, just came home. They all congratulate him and
they're going fucking nuts. Like, that's the best shooting. It doesn't even look like he shot it. That's the thing that annoyed me so much. Like, can't they like present something where it's like you could see why the crowd would be so in awe of him? but it's not. It's just limply.
I guess they thought he
misfiring.
was that casual and that good that he don't even need to like aim it. He can just hold it right here, and I'm gonna shoot that fucking gun right out of his hand anyway.
Yeah.
So they're all like,
Now-
"Come on in, get some drinks." All right, go ahead.
Well, Hollywood Westerns made me think like, well, everybody has a gun. Why do they care so much that now this guy has a gun? I figure even the town drunk has one gun on him. But they're like, holy shit, Denton, Alky, or what do they call him? Rummy's got a gun. Hey, Rummy, you gonna shoot me?
Well, we find out that he, was the gunslinger. And then we'll get to that, what happened, why he's not the gunslinger anymore, why he gave it up. But
Martin Landau knows this about him?
yeah, I think that's his reputation, is that he was an awesome shooter, and then he turned into a drunk. And he's a joke now. And Martin Landau is the awesome shooter now. So when he sees the dude with a gun, he's like, oh, well, this is my chance to show that I'm even better than him. Or he ever was, or whatever.
Yeah. And he Mr. Denton, Al Denton, explains to Miss Smith, he's like, this is the first gun I used to be the fastest gun in the West, but that was a long time ago. This is the first gun I've held since, oh, shoot, I can't remember. And then he has his confrontation with Landau.
And so Landau comes in, he's pissed, and he's got his gun back, and while everybody's trying to pour Denton shots, Landau's like, fuck that, I'm killing you right now, right in the stomach. And then he does the same shtick where I don't want no trouble, it was an accident. And he's holding it all limp, and he gun goes off and shoots the chandelier or whatever you want to call it, and falls on Landau right as he's shooting. And everyone
doesn't fall on him though. He just falls like right in front of him and makes him fall down. He's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I think
and again, the
like
crowd goes
his
fucking
hand,
nuts.
I think it more hit his shooting hand because the gun went off, so I think it hit him in the hand either as he was shooting or it caused him to shoot. But yeah, it didn't really fall on his head or anything. But everyone thought it was another trick shot.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, what a great trick! He shot the light out in my bar. Great."
It's still the West.
He keeps going like, it's an accident. Honestly, I didn't mean to do nothing.
No, but after he shoots the lamp, then he gets his confidence back. He's like, oh, maybe he starts maybe believing he did do it, or I don't know what he's thinking, but he gets his confidence back. And because somebody called him Mr. Denton. And he said, what'd you call me? He said, I didn't mean no trouble, Mr. Denton. He said, Mr. It's been a long time since somebody called me Mr. And then he's got his sack back.
It's like the cheesiest thing ever, but it worked on me. Him being so moved that some stranger calls him Mr. Denton.
Yeah, no, I think the transformation was a little abrupt, but I like how he was how touched he was that somebody called him Mr. And it had been so long, and he's just been a joke. And now finally he's got some respect back. And then on the way out, Martin Landau stands in front of him and he just bitch slaps him to the ground.
Yes. Well, the bartender's like, here, I poured you a drink, Al. And he's like, you know what? No, I've had enough. Also, I'm going to go get a shave. And I think I'm going to go to night school. Open the law books. He slaps Martin Landau down. He's like, then don't call me Rummy.
It's like, I feel like if that was me, like I would think, hey, I'm done drinking for good. I got my confidence back. And then, but tomorrow morning I'm getting shit faced. So
then, Miss Smith, the sex worker, goes out to talk to Denton. She's like, hey, Mr. Denton, I heard Charlie says he's seen you shoot two rounds off. And now he says you're as good with a gun as you've ever been. And he's like, yes, it's true. I am the best once again. But, I used to be the best and it was miserable because he had the reputation far and wide. But this meant that at least once a day, someone would ride into town and challenge him. And to cope with this, he turned to the bottle, and then the bottle took over his life entirely. Oh, and one time he killed a 16-year-old challenger.
I think that was the last time. I think that's what put him into a drunk. And it's fun. I didn't notice it, but I read, and it's totally true, that the scene in Blazing Saddles is a parody of this, where Gene Wilder's talking about how he used to be the best shooter, and then he became a drunk, and then what happened was some 6-year-old shot him in the ass.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I watched Blazing Saddles like a year ago. It's so good.
I thought it was terrible. Not terrible, but Young Frankenstein is the Mel Brooks movie. I was really excited to watch Blazing Saddles again. It's been 10 years. I know I used to love it. And so I finally talked to family into watching that, and I was just bored most of the time. If Gene Wilder wasn't in the scene, I didn't really care.
He is the best part of the movie, but I really think it's Mel Brooks' best movie. I always had it behind The Producers and Young Frankenstein, but I have it at number 1 now.
I'll give you the joke that cracks me every fucking time is the toll booth in the desert. And he's like, anybody got a quarter?
So he's like, well, it's all starting again now. There will be people arriving into town to challenge me.
Yeah, I don't know how fast word travels in the Old West, but it took literally a day for people to come in and challenge him because they heard about him.
Yeah, I feel like if this were like a season 3 episode of The Twilight Zone, the final reveal would be this is some sort of afterlife or some sort of hell where the laws of reality don't work the same. You find, oh my God, I've been dead the whole time. This is my eternal torment for having killed that 16-year-old.
You are so right. Yes. Like this is a perfectly fine episode of something else, of another anthology show. It's a very subpar Twilight Zone episode.
All day I've been trying to figure out what the analogy is to the person, you become the best at something and immediately there's a target on your back. And like, I know there's one other like example, but maybe I'm just thinking of being the fastest shot. When you're the fastest shot, everybody wants to challenge you. But I feel like there's a really good other one. It's like when the restaurant gets the 3rd Michelin star, all that means is that they can lose it. I don't know. Can you?
I think it happens a lot in sports. People always want to challenge professional athletes, like average Joes, and people want to dunk on Jordan or tall guys, they want to flex, on these big centers. So I mean, kind of not direct analogies, but I get, seeing this pinnacle and wanting to show that you're even better or just as good or whatever.
Where the achievement is its own curse because all it means is that all you can do is lose this title and your life will be a misery from now on. But he's like, and again, this is what's annoying about this episode. He's telling the lady all of this and he says, well, it's going to happen all over again, except this time I'm definitely going to die, but I might as well look good when I die. So I'm going to go get a shave.
Yeah. He wants to die with dignity.
Yes, I know, but I feel like there should be like one more beat to this story. Like he should find out right here that his old rival's coming back to challenge him. And he's like, well, I'm definitely going to get killed by him. But instead it's just hypothetical. It's just, oh, I know I'm going to die.
It does feel like this was written in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a shame. So now that he's all cleaned up and his acting is just as good. I mean, he plays a great sober man.
His voice changes. His voice becomes so much softer.
Yeah. Yeah. And a little deeper, a little more manly, so like before he was just really whiny and high pitched. No, I don't want, that was an accident. But now he's got more confidence and he talks like a man.
He also just looks, I realize how much older he is than I necessarily, than when he has the beard. When he gets clean shaven, you're like, oh, okay. So this is truly an old guy. He has lived a life. But
he's got a great head of hair. So I'm thinking it's just like his life has taken a toll on him, and he looks more aged than he really is because of all the stress he's had and living his life. I don't know how long people lived in the 1870s is about when it takes place.
Yeah, I think like 31 years.
Yeah.
No, I think that's actually one of those misnomers. Like the joke is always like life expectancy was so much smaller back then, but I think I could be wrong about this. I think life expectancy over time is pretty stable, but because of things like child mortality that pulls life expectancy down but if you're like a normal healthy person, you'll live to your 70s usually, like no matter what area you're in.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess, but definitely at least till 50, 60, something like that, Yeah, I mean, he looks about 50 here. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
So he's up in his apartment and some toughs come into his apartment. They're like, say, are you that guy?
And he can just be like, fuck no. Like, you got the wrong guy and just skip down. But he just accepts. I don't know why exactly he accepts his fate. Maybe he's ready to die. Maybe he wants somebody to
because he's like, he knows he needs to pay for killing that kid. They just don't say it, or they don't make it like that's the kind reading of this is he knows he needs to atone.
Okay, so this is one episode where killing kids is not okay.
Right. No, they'll figure out as the series goes that killing kids is okay. But right here, this is only the 3rd episode. They haven't figured everything out. So yeah, if you killed a kid, if you killed a 16-year-old, you deserve eternal torment, and you got to be sober while you're doing it because you need to know what you did. So these guys come in and they're like, our friend Pete, he's coming to town. He'll be in town at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. He's going to shoot you good, bud. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So now he knows.
I don't understand. Is this supposed to be like, so like he's paying for his sins and stuff seems to be the motif, but then like he gets redeemed. So is there like a redemption story for him or something? Like I'm confused as to what the message is.
I don't know.
It's because they wrote it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy, and he doesn't even really do a good job of being mysterious. So the mysterious traveling salesman comes in and talks to Denton and tells him that he's got a magical, and he's just really straightforward, like not mysterious at all, not, oh, try and see what happens or whatever, like he's just so fucking straightforward and boring,
Mm-hmm.
So I got this magic elixir or potion, whatever you want to call it. If you take it, you got 10 seconds and you can shoot anything. The best shot in the world. You can shoot anything from any distance. You got 10 seconds though. And then he makes him drink one. It's like a drug dealer kind of, except he doesn't sell him anything, so it's like a drug dealer. He gives him the first taste and then shoots the lamp out from really far away. He's like, oh shit, this stuff works. Because earlier he was trying to practice. They gave like 5 seconds. He's trying to practice outside and he can't hit shit.
Yeah.
So then he drinks the elixir, nails it, and the guy just gives him another one and says, all right, we'll take it 10 seconds before you shoot when the guy comes into town tomorrow. That's it. Like no price, like again, a later Twilight Zone episode, he'd have to sell a soul for it or some shit.
It's very lucky you were here, Mr. Fate. Yeah, and like last week's episode was such a good exploration of the relationship between this man and this weird celestial salesman. And here it's just so rushed. He's like, I got a magic potion. Don't ask questions. I don't know.
Yeah, really. Like that's exactly right. It's rushed. It's not suspenseful. It's not mysterious. It's not eerie. It's not anything. It's just so straightforward and boring.
It's just a service of Henry J. Fate. So you might remember the night Fate stepped in. Oh.
He should have been the devil or something, man. Like he should have had to pay a price for it.
Everything is better when it turns out it's the devil.
It's true.
Everyone's gathered at the saloon the next night to see the confrontation. There's like 1 billion people. Everyone from the town is here. And then Pete Grant, the villain, arrives. And he's a much younger man.
Again, wearing black, symbolizing like as if because the audience is stupid, so symbolizing he's the antagonist. See, everybody else in the scene's wearing white; they're just bystanders. But him and his crony, they're wearing black. And Denton's in the middle.
Yeah, at least his name isn't like Pete J. Badman or something.
Which I don't even know if he's a bad guy because he seems like an okay dude. Like he accepts things what's about to happen. He accepts it. I think he's happy about it. He seems like kind of an okay dude. It's just it's the Wild West and. You got to be a badass to survive.
You just have your vices. And my vice is I like to shoot people. I meant to look up the rules of this dueling. How does this even work? What does it mean to draw? What are the rules? It seems like just draw and just shoot and hope you hit the other person's
That's
gun.
what I was hoping you would know. Like, I know the Old West is, I think it's generally exactly the way it's depicted in movies is like, there's a sheriff and he might care if you make a crime, but he might not, and people shoot each other all the time, and it's cool as long as they agree beforehand. Like we're gonna.
My understanding is that it is very much not the violent anything goes way it's depicted in movies and TV. This stuff just doesn't actually happen, and which makes sense when you realize like the things like the gunfight at the OK Corral where 2 people died. Like, well, there's a reason that's so famous. It's because this kind of stuff didn't happen all the time.
Well, because for the longest time you could have a duel like the Hamilton Hamilton Burr duel. Like it was perfectly legal as long as both parties agreed to it.
But I think of a duel between gentlemen as something different from an Old West duel.
Well, again, both parties.
But maybe they're the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll look that up and maybe put that in the end. I don't know.
We probably won't.
I know.
So like so this guy walks in, he's much younger, and Denton's like, well, okay, here goes. So he drinks his potion, but as he finishes it, he looks over at his opponent and sees that he is drinking an identical potion. And they both recognize that the other has drunk a potion, which like, that's kind of cool. And they shoot at
okay. At least they gave us a twist. At least they gave us something. It's like, oh shit, he's got the same one. Okay, yeah, like there was an interesting moment for a second. I'll give you that.
But you would, and then the way this works is like, well, they seem to wait way longer than 10 seconds, but then they both shoot and then they just end up shooting the other person's shooting hand.
Okay, so I questioned about that because I counted, because I noticed it. They were just staring for fucking forever. So they drink their potions at the 21:36 mark and then they fire at the 22:09 mark. So it's 33 seconds after they drink the potion. So the question is that just really lazy, like shooting, like film shooting? Or was it, did they really do it? Was that real, them shooting? Nah, I guess, I don't know. That'd be stupid if it was real.
It's some sort of time dilation. We're not experiencing time in real time, It's really evocative filmmaking. Now, every second seems like it's so much longer than a real second.
For them. Okay, so like we're seeing it like through their, okay, because to them it's forever.
Okay. I mean, the actual answer is, yeah, it's lazy. Who cares?
Yeah, okay.
So they just shoot each other's hands. And then there's this doctor who's like, I'm a doctor and I'm here to examine your hand. And nope, looks like your hand is just injured enough. You'll never be able to shoot again, but otherwise you'll be perfectly okay. All right, bye. And it's like, that's that.
Yeah, I guess since they don't have the title of being great gun shooters, nobody wants to challenge them, so they'll get to live good lives. Like, yeah, I mean, there is the duality that he's the old guy and he's the young guy, and he got saved from a life of this crap of having to do shootout after shootout because he's a young kid, so he got saved by it. So at least there's that.
I mean, yeah, I just this doctor is very handy, but he's like, hey, but you know what? You were so impressive the way you just stood up there. You'll have something to tell your grandchildren about. That you stood there in a bar and tried to shoot a guy. So then he goes out and he explains to Miss Smith. He's like, well, and to Grant, he's like, hey, listen, this is good. We're blessed. Now we'll never be tempted into the shooting life again. And it happened to you when you're young, so you won't have to repeat my mistakes, etc. So it's about addiction, And then the peddler exchanges a significant nod with Mr. Denton, and then he leaves in his carriage because his work here is done. And he just like goes around the Old West, stopping people from shooting each other.
So is the message about addiction? Because I did too much research on gun laws and violence and shit.
Well, why does it have to have a message?
Because I would say the majority, if not the vast majority of Twilight Zone episodes either have social commentary or a message or a moral. Something, some takeaway, something that'll leave you thinking afterwards, or I don't know, but something more than just a story.
Well, then I would say it is addiction, and it's like, it would be great if there was some sort of mystical, magical force that could just stop you from having to have your demons, have your addictions. But there is no mystical force. Instead, you just have to take control of yourself, and you can do it, buddy.
See, the only thing I could think of before talking to you is that the message was like, guns are bad, like guns just lead to trouble, and so now neither of them have to touch a gun again because, after World War II and then the Korean War and then 1953, there is just a super surplus of guns. There's an army surplus store on every block and people are just buying up guns for cheap. And like I read from people who lived during this time that testified that a kid could walk in a pawn shop. If he had money, he could get a gun, no hassle,
Well, and just a culture of like how many men fought in the war and so have training, know how to use guns. So it's just so normalized as a part of life.
Yeah. So I was saying maybe the message was, guns are bad, and like homicide rate doubled between 1950 and the mid 60s. So it was on the rise when they made this. Yeah, it was 4.6 per 100,000 and then doubled by the mid 60s and peaked in the early 70s. They made they only had 2 laws before 1968 when Kennedy got assassinated. Then they made a new law, but it was just really just FDR.
They made it illegal to shoot the president.
They gave more gun control laws, I think, maybe, because the only things that existed before then was the National Firearms Act that was part of FDR's New Deal, and it was meant to stop gangster violence by imposing really high taxes on manufacturing, selling, and transporting guns. And the tax was $200 to do many of these things. And I think this was a huge misstep because Okay, so I did the inflation on 2 different websites just to make sure, and $200 in 1934 is about $4,700 today. So it's $5,000 tax to buy a gun, to make a gun, to transport a gun, whatever. And if there's anybody who can afford that, it's gangsters.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not taking the guns away from them. They're going to get their guns, and the people who need to defend themselves against the gangsters aren't going to get any guns. So I think FDR made a misfire on that one. No pun intended.
Yes. Okay.
And then in 1938, they had the Federal Firearms Act that made you firearm. You needed a license to obtain a gun, and you had to record sales to people. And people convicted of violent crimes or felons couldn't get guns, but they got them anyway. That's what I think the new law in 68 was about, was not let crazy people get guns and to try harder, because there weren't computers or anything. Like, how are they going to do a background check? You know, how are they going to know if you're a felon?
And 68, notoriously a very violent year. A lot of panic about that. That makes sense.
It's possible they were making a commentary on guns. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yes, guns are bad. I don't like guns. I think when people get guns, they are likely to shoot themselves or shoot somebody that they know.
I support people's right to have a gun, but I hate guns. Dad has a gun in a safe, so there won't be any accidents or anything. But I don't. We had to get a license for me. Me and my brother had to get a license in case we ever need to get in that gun and shoot or whatever. So we had to go to the fucking class and then actually shoot at a target. And I did not enjoy holding this fucking loaded gun and like being told to point it out, and I didn't like shooting it, man. I was very uncomfortable, man. Like, that I was going to drop it and blow somebody's head off.
It's good. I mean, yeah, usually sometimes you hear the opposite reaction of like, oh, fucking yeah. I can finally feel alive.
When we went clay pigeon shooting, that was fun. And I like bow and arrow. That was fun. And BB guns or stuff like that. But a real fucking 44, something like that with the recoil, like I didn't enjoy it.
No, I wouldn't enjoy that either. You know what? I'm also terrified of a bow and arrow. That seems really, really scary to me.
No, I think you're much less likely to have accidents. I mean,
of course.
If you're not doing it right, it's not going to go anywhere.
So that's the episode. That's Mr. Denton on Doomsday. A much better title than the actual episode.
It is.
Doomsday. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I give this a C-. I think, and maybe even that's too kind. I think this episode sucks.
I think as we've done a little bit before on the first 2 episodes, as an episode of some other anthology, I could give this as high as a B-. It's still got way too little events and just dead time, and it's boring, and the way things are done could have been much better. Like this traveling salesman was just done so poorly. But and I don't know what the message is, and it's not like the episode 2, Warrant for the Angels, made you think. You know, it really did. It made you think about what Death was up to, you know, and how Bookman sacrificed himself for the girl. Like there was a lot of shit going on, you know, in my mind. This one was just straightforward and boring. So I guess as a Twilight Zone episode, at best C-. I'm right where you are. At best C-. If I'm in a bad mood, D.
The craft is there. Like these episodes all look good. They're all shot well. The cinematography is good. The music's good. The sets look good. The actors are good. This is just, but the thing that is one of the things that is so special about the show is the writing, and the writing just isn't there. Yeah. Still, yeah, it's fine. It's 22 minutes. You won't get angry. You have to watch it multiple times to get angry like I did.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I kind of had that, like I said, the opposite reaction. Like I was because I was watching them in a row, you know, and so after watching the first 2, then this one like back to back to back, I was just like, this sucks, dude. Fuck. And then I was trying to take notes today when I was rewatching it, trying to look at the little things and whatnot, and I couldn't find much. I mean, they did what they could, you know. Like you said, the set's always good, the actors are always good. There are some subtle details here and there, not as many as like the last episode or other episodes.
I just want, if the script isn't there, then just a little more moodiness, a little more atmosphere. Give me something.
Yeah.
Make me feel uneasy about this, or like wondering the whole time, what's going on here? What's about to fucking happen?
Yeah. The story's a D- or an F. D-.
So what's the next episode? What is the next episode called?
Fuck. Let me look at something. How many millimeters was filmed back then?
35.
Maybe it was like 35 millimeter shrine. Let me look. I had the page right here. No, fuck you. Don't beat me to it, you dick. Right. 16 millimeter shrine. The 16 millimeter shrine. And again, I think it was heavily inspired by Sunset Boulevard because this is like old. She used to be big in silent film, and she's just really depressing and won't let go of the past. And there's some creepy supernatural shit that happens. So, I won't spoil it for you, but it seems to be heavily inspired by Sunset Boulevard, which came out in 1950. Okay.
I look forward to that. And we look forward to speaking with everybody again when we do that episode. Want to encourage everybody to follow us on social media. Look to the episode description for links to our social media accounts, to Twitter and Blue Sky and all of that. And if you don't know, I do a podcast about movies called Load Bearing Beams. We release an episode every Friday about a different movie, and we just launched a Patreon where $5 a month gets you 2 bonus episodes, Load Bearing Beams Collector's Edition. Do you have anything you'd like to plug, Patrick?
Next episode in your PowerPoint, let's put my Venmo. Okay. In case anybody wants to give me like $3.
Okay, yes.
I'm a teacher and I don't make any fucking money. I'm very, very, very poor. I use single
I'll pull up your Venmo handle right now.
It's Patrick at Patrick-Perot 1, I think.
There you go. Send our man, pay the teachers. We're always saying it, pay the teachers. And Patrick is doing the Lord's work, working as a public servant, a high school teacher at public schools. So, give the man some goddamn money.
So it is at Patrick-Perot, Perot-1. Because, we need to put on the PowerPoint next time because people don't want to send money to the wrong person. The picture is me and Matt and the band, the old band.
Okay, well, look. There's things like I forget what it's called, but it's what content creators do is there's like some company that's like, buy me a cup of coffee. And it's just like a coffee cup is your logo. Mm-hmm. But it's literally just send me money.
Yeah. Yeah, like that movie. One of the movie games does that now. If you want the previous days, you got to buy a coffee for the box office game.
And Patrick and I are in a band called Rural Route 9. We do the music for this show, and you can hear our music on Spotify. Rural Route 9, RURAL ROUTENINE. That's it. Oh God, he's frozen again.
I know. I think I'm just so good at it.
Oh, you got me again. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.